Hey guys, welcome back to another flashlight review, and I've got a new brand of flashlight I've never actually seen or reviewed before. This is the Astrolux brand, and I've got the EP05 model here. This one was given to me as a free sample by Banggood.com. And reportedly, this brand, Astrolux, is manufactured by a number of other companies, including the one behind Sofern and Workhorse, also Mate Minco. And the EP05, as you can see here, it's a floody 21700 cell light. It's got the 5x LH351B configuration. So it's not the high CRI version, but yeah, very competitively priced budget flashlight that comes with everything that you need, especially as a beginner. So let me show you what you get in the box. Obviously, you get the flashlight itself. It also comes with a 21700 cell, and I don't know too much about it. It just says YHC here on the back of the battery. It doesn't even say what capacity it is. I'd be assuming it's at least 4000 milliamp hour cell. And obviously, you get the light itself. You get a clip too here on the side. It's a double-sided clip. Some other accessories besides from the box itself, which is pretty basic. As you can see, it doesn't even have the branding of Astrolux on the side of the light. Little barcode. Also comes with one of these 18650 adapters, which is handy. Get USB-C charging cable, and you get a little lanyard as well with the flashlight. This is a little comparison between the EP05 and another flashlight I own, the Sofern IF25A, and this is also a 21700 cell flashlight. It's got a 4x TIR configuration with 4 SST40s, so I thought this would be a good little comparison to show you side by side. You can see here the Astrolux EP05 has got a much larger bezel, and you can see the 5 LEDs are spaced more apart, which creates definitely I think anywhere a slightly wider looking beam in this configuration. But having a look here on the back as well, pretty similar sort of build where you've got this side switch that you operate the light with. Overall construction and design definitely reminds me of some Sofern lights that I own, and the build quality is pretty good for this price point, but it isn't something that's going to wow you when you take it out the box. So, there's no rough spots, no inconsistencies in the machining. We've also got some nice anodized threads on there as well. Very smooth, glossy anodizing, similar to most other sort of small Sofern Workhorse lights. And it is a bit slippery. Okay, certainly a little bit slippery, but thankfully, because Astrolux have included this nice knurling here on the side, it does provide some extra grip. Okay, the side switch here also doubles as a battery indicator. It does take a 21700 cell or 18650 cell with the included adapter. It's also good to see Astrolux have included a double-sided clip here as well. The light isn't too heavy, so you could potentially get away with putting this on a hat. But yeah, again, it's one of these larger lights, so you probably want to choose a smaller one, but it's good to have that option. Looking down the head of the flashlight, you can see the head is definitely larger in diameter than the rest of the body, and that's to accommodate this lens configuration. So that 5x LH351B configuration in there, 5 TIR lenses. And it's also important to note there is no protective glass here in the front. Bezel is also glued on. I've tried to unscrew it with my hands. You're probably going to need something else to unscrew it. Yeah, would have been interesting if they maybe put these LED configurations a bit closer to just match the diameter of the body. But I think this configuration just allows Astrolux also to get a bit more material underneath the head so that it dissipates heat better. So let's go through the UI. So it's pressed once essentially. Now it remembers the last mode, and you press and hold to turn off, press once to turn on. Now in order to switch modes, you basically just press the button once. So once the light is on, okay. Got a strobe mode here. You've got the SOS mode, and then it just goes from high, medium, low, back to that strobe, SOS, and just cycles again. Now, at any point you want to go into turbo, you just double press, okay, and press again to turn off. So pretty simple UI, 5 modes with turbo. Okay, so I ran a bunch of ceiling bounce tests to see how this light performs under the different modes, and you can see here this is the first ceiling bounce test that I ran on turbo, started the flashlight up, and immediately it just completely drops. So really don't get much sustained output, if any sustained output really, on turbo. So it drops below the 20% mark. Okay, I tried to reactivate turbo again just after the 6-minute mark, and you can see here it steps up and immediately goes back down. It doesn't go all the way up to the first time I turned on turbo. So it indicates that there's probably an FET driver in here. So as that battery voltage drops, the total brightness also decreases. Here is a second ceiling bounce test on high, and you can see here light starts off again on 100% and just drops to about 20% of its output. So very quickly, pretty much just drops. It doesn't hold that high mode for any time at all, just as soon as you turn it on. So I think there's probably some kind of, probably some kind of timer in there that just automatically drops the output. Good to see that though, especially because you've got quite a lot of heat being generated from these 5 LEDs. Here's a third ceiling bounce test on medium. You can see I've started the flashlight up and it just automatically starts to drop to about 75% of its output. So this is pretty good. I think this mode, the medium mode, is good for pretty much most purposes. If you're walking around the house, using it outside, this is a good sustainable kind of mode, especially after it steps down. But it would have been nice if it did hold that 100% mode all the way through. I felt that when I was using it on medium, it really wasn't that hot at all. It was, it was warm, but I think that it could have, Astrolux could have sustained the output on this mode as well. So this is the last ceiling bounce test, and you can see here I've got the EP05 on low, pretty much holds 100% to the end of the test. Here are some tests that I ran with my Opal Lightmaster Pro, and you can see here on the turbo mode, I actually got 219 meters of throw, which is pretty impressive considering this is not a dedicated throwy sort of flashlight, but just due to the sheer amount of light that comes out, you're able to get over 200 meters of throw. Now, obviously, remember that light steps down pretty much immediately, so it's gonna decrease significantly from that 219 meters. CRI ranged from 69 to 73, so pretty standard. For a light that's designed mainly for visibility. These are not the high CRI versions of the LH351. CCT ranged from 6,700 to 7,300, so definitely on the cooler white end. I described the beam as predominantly floody with a lot of throw, especially at the start when you turn on the flashlight, just due to the sheer amount of light. But yeah, it does step down and the throw reduces significantly. So there are a few things that you need to be aware of before purchasing this light. And you might have noticed the first one when I went through the UI. You can see they've included that strobe and SOS mode in that 5 mode UI. And I really wish that they had separated out through a triple click. Would have made it much better. And for me, when I'm outside just changing modes, it's a little bit annoying to have to cycle through the strobe and the SOS, especially if you are sensitive to that strobe. Now, second consideration, the quality and construction is definitely acceptable for this price point, but there are a few small things that I think could be improved. And one of them is using a beefier tail spring on the back there, just for better conductivity. This one's pretty stock standard, but I think they could have used one that was gold plated or copper plated at least. And of course, I think adding on a glass lens on the front as well for protection. These TIR lenses are susceptible to scratching, but it's good that it is recessed in the head. You've got this sort of crenulated bezel around there and recessed lens. So it does offer a little bit of protection, but a glass lens I think would have really sealed the deal there. Third consideration, like you guys already know, there is a fast step down on the high and the turbo mode. Okay, so yeah, does prevent the light from getting too hot, which is a good thing. But yeah, you're going to have to reactivate the light again on turbo or high pretty quickly if you want to access those high modes. The fourth consideration is that there is no moonlight mode or lock mode. And moonlight mode for me is important if, if I'm using this light in the middle of the night, don't want to lose my night vision. But there is no, it would have been good if they had like a press and hold feature to, basically just turn on a moonlight mode. Also no lock mode as well, so the only thing you can do is really just unscrew the tail cap and maybe 1/8 of a turn, and that accomplishes the same thing. Overall, while the EP05 certainly doesn't offer anything groundbreaking, it's a great budget-friendly flashlight that you can easily store in your pocket or in your backpack. It pumps out a huge amount of light for its size. It's perfect for walks, if you're using it around the house, outside, bushwalks, that kind of thing. It also comes with everything you need in the box, which is definitely beginners friendly. So if you're interested in getting one of these, go ahead and check the link in the description. I've got a special discount voucher that you can purchase the Astrolux EP05 from. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. I'll get back to you straight away. Surely I've missed out a few things here or there. If you like the video as well, do me a big favor and click the like button. It helps me to get my videos out to more people, and it doesn't cost you a cent. If you want to see more videos, more flashlight reviews, and keep up to date with the latest flashlight news, remember to subscribe. All right, Astrolux EP05 on turbo. Look at that. It's just great big wall of light. And what I like about it as well is that the spill goes all the way to my feet. But you can see all the way pretty much the back of those trees, which I thought was pretty surprising given the size of the lens, these 5 mini TIR lenses. Now keep in mind the light does step down pretty quickly. I can already see it stepping down, but let's just hold and see what it ends up with at the end. Okay. I mean, it's still very, very usable after it steps down. I mean, look at that. I can still see all the way to the center of that field. Not really to the back, but lighting up the center of that field, tree a bit closer. This is a great walking light because you don't have a huge amount of focus in the center of that beam. There's definitely more of a large hot spot in the center, but it's not like really, really focused in the center like a proper thrower. So that's a light completely stepped down, and I believe this is something like 400 to 600 lumens. Okay, but very usable. This is a great walking light, great all-purpose sort of light. Okay, let's activate turbo again. It's good that you can activate it a second time round, third time round, that kind of thing. But it has that feature just to step down. It's necessary on smaller lights like this, otherwise you're just not gonna, you're just gonna damage the electronics and it's gonna get way too hot. Okay, I'll go through the other modes. Okay, so that's like the medium mode. That's the low mode. You can't really see much. There is a strobe mode, an SOS mode. Okay, but starting from the top, you've got basically that's the high mode there, which isn't actually too different from the turbo mode. Turbo is a little bit brighter, but not a huge amount brighter. So high, then you got medium, and medium I would say is roughly where the light steps down to. And of course the low mode here, it's very difficult to see here on camera, but pretty good for very short range usage. Okay, but you do have to cycle through all those modes to get to the top of the ramp again. I mean, for a basic EDC light where you're not in any hurry to change the modes, it's actually okay, but it's just probably more of an annoyance than anything. Here's your turbo again. And I like how the light just isn't getting too hot as well. It's able to just, I think that option, that decision that Astrolux made just to make the light step down straight away is good. Okay, I'm going to compare this to my Sofern IF25A. And this is the Sofern IF25A on turbo to the left. Okay, this is the IF25A, and you can see it's pretty bright. Okay, pretty bright, reaching the end of those trees quite easily. It's got more of a warmer tint. This is the 5000K version. Okay. It does take a little bit longer to step down, but let's have a look at the EP05, okay, turbo. Okay, so on the left, got the Sofern. Right here, we've got the EP05. So yeah, I mean, this sofa does throw a little bit more. Okay. Definitely with the EP05, you know, 6500K, it's got more of this sort of white tint. It's not unpleasant, but something to keep in mind, obviously. Yeah, that's your 5000K to compare it to. Okay, I'm on the side of the road here and got a bit of a trail or path in front of us, so I'm going to put it on turbo, the EP05, and this is actually the low mode, but double press and look at that. Really just clears up, lights up this entire area. You can see the trees, you can see the path. The beam is pretty much 180 degrees. You can see there's light near my feet as well. I'll go for a bit of a walk. I'm going to go just on the low mode now in the EP05 and go straight to turbo. And this is kind of like a little bit of a clearing here. A bunch of these trees. It's more of a short range. You can see it hits those trees right at the back, but everything in front and to the left and right, there's lots of spill. So perfect walking light really. And you can go and sort of go through all the other modes. So that's the low mode. Fortunately, I do have to go through the strobe and the SOS mode, but you got the high mode here, which is pretty similar to the turbo. Turbo just gives it an extra little bump. Medium mode is great for kind of all-purpose use, really. I'd probably use this mostly. Okay. I'll go for a walk on turbo.